Hello there. Welcome to Play the Game with Steve. In today's episode of Beyond the Precon, we'll take a look at Miles Morales' Spider-Man. We're going to take a look at his unique mechanics and what makes him special and separates him from the rest. We're going to take a brief moment to overlook all of the signature cards and how they interact with his hero mechanics. We are then going to review his pre-constructed deck and what little changes we can make using only the Sinister Motives campaign box and the core set, and how we can increase that play experience. And then finally, we'll take a look at some of the other hero packs or campaign boxes that you could get to really enhance this gameplay experience for this very unique Spider-Man. All this and more on this episode of Beyond the Precon, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Alrighty then, so Miles Morales is a civilian, haven't seen one of those in a while, with a hand size of 6, 9 hit points, and a 4 recovery, so pretty solid recovery there. And a response, after you change to this form, you can shuffle one Spider-Man card from your discard pile into your deck. Now this is very, very powerful. It also kind of hints that you want to be coming down to Alter Ego to be able to reshuffle some of the best cards in your deck back. So you're shuffling one of your hero-specific 15 cards back into your deck every time you flip down. So that is a huge, I can't say that enough, huge bonus that Miles Morales has. So recursion is the strongest mechanic in the game. All right, then when he flips into Spidey-Man, he is a 2 thwart, 2 attack, 2 defense champion and web warrior. So our first web warrior character. He has a hand size of 5, and he has 2 special abilities. The first one being Venom Blast. It is a special to deal 2 damage to an enemy and stun that enemy. And then Spider Camouflage, which is a special, give the Spider-Man a tough status card and confuse an enemy. So stun, confuse, and tough, all on a hero card. All you need to do is activate his special ability. Now, how do we do that? Well, then we're going to have to look at his signature cards. But just that makes him one of the most powerful characters in the game. We saw this in Doctor Strange, in SpiderWoman. Characters that have access to stun, confuse, and tough all on one. Just very, very powerful. All right, so let's take a look at his signature cards and see how he plays. All right. Well, first things he's got, just like Spider-Man, we've seen these cards before in the Spider-Man core set, the web shooters. These are great to put down. It's generate 3 wild resources. So having those down, super solid. Then we have Jefferson Davies, which says Persona Shield, Alter Ego Action. So when you're in Alter Ego, I think that's his dad. Remove a threat from the scheme with the least threat. So if, let's say, the main scheme is at 0 and there's a side scheme with 1, you would not be able to remove the threat from that one scheme. So that's always very important to remember. It is really the threat with the lowest scheme. So if there's a threat with a crisis icon with 2 and then the main has 1, well, you wouldn't be able to remove it because of the crisis icon. So that's very, very important to know. A little side note on the rules. Then we have his best buddy, a support card called Genki Lee, and he's another persona. And then you can exhaust Genki Lee. You get to draw a card, and if you are in hero form, you choose and discard a card from your hand. So that's very cool. So you draw, you discard, or you just draw when you go to Alter Ego. So that's a very powerful card. All right, and then he's got a couple of hero cards that are super nice. We got the Power Within, which is a 1-cost upgrade that says hero response after your hero uses a basic power. Now remember, basic powers are thwart, attack, or defense. Resolve Spider-Man's Venom Blast ability. So this is one way to resolve that. So you get to stun and deal 2 damage. And then we also have defense mechanics. Again, same concept. After you use one of your basic powers, you get to resolve the defense mechanics. You get to resolve the Spider Camouflage, which gives them a tough, and you get to confuse an enemy. So very powerful. So you get a tough, you get to confuse, then you go to Alter Ego and put that defense mechanics right back into your deck. Man, A lot of powerful things that are happening here. All right, because this hero really wants to flip-flop a lot into alter ego to hero, he has 2 cards called Double Life, which is very, very fun. Max once per round, though. And in action, you can change your form, and this does not count as your once per turn. All right, and if you paid with this with a fist resource, you get to ready your identity. So very fun. And then finally, you would get to, and then you get to punch again, or you get to recover. So it's super strong. Double Life, powerful card. Then we got a couple of fun cards. Arachnobatics. So this is a 1-cost attack event that says deal 2 damage to an enemy. But if that enemy has a status card, a stun status card, you deal an additional 3. So instead of doing 2, you're doing 5. And then if he has a confuse on him, you deal an additional 3. So it could be 1 for up to 8 damage. But again, you have to kind of be able to time these where the villain is both stun and confuse. Another rules regulation, if the villain is steady and has a and it has a stun and a confuse, only 1 out of the 2, that's perfect. He doesn't have to be fully stunned. He just needs the status card on it. So if you're looking for a way to play with like higher difficulty, playing the expert 2 or the standard 2 is pretty fun with him, because then you get to trigger these way more often. All right, then let's go look at his other cards. He's got 2 cards called Swing In that remove 4 threat, and if you paid with a mental, you resolve the Spider Camouflage ability. So very cool. And then finally, he's got 3 Web Shots, which is an attack event that says deal 4 damage. And if you use the lightning resource, you get to trigger the Venom Blast special. So as you can see, we have like 5, 6, 7 cards out of 15 that are able to trigger one of his special abilities. Extremely powerful indeed, Mr. Spidey-Man. So again, so you can see just with his signature kit, it allows you to go to alter ego, shuffle these great cards back in. So if you need damage, you shuffle the Web Shots. If you need threat control, you shuffle the swing-ins. So very, very fun. All right, there you go. So that's his signature cards. Let's go take a look at his pre-constructed deck that introduced a whole new archetype for Justice, the Shield archetype. Let's go take a look. All right, in his pre-constructed deck, Miles Morales only has 5 reprints, which is very cool, 2 surveillance teams, and the 3 double resources, which is perfect. He introduces some cool 0-cost shield tactics, which is global logistics, that you get to exhaust a shield card you control. You get to look at the top 4 cards and put them back in any order, discard them, put them back, whatever you want to do. So very cool. Then you got Homeland Intervention, which is a super powerful card. You exhaust up to 3 shield cards, and for each shield card you exhaust, you can remove up to 2 scheme. So 3 shield cards, so 6 threat removal for 0 just by exhausting some shield cards. All right, then we got Field Agents, which are personas, and they come up with backup counters. And when a shield ally would take any amount of damage, any amount of consequential damage, you can exhaust and remove a backup counter and prevent one of that damage. Amazing. I'm going to get into this one after. So then we got 2 Justice Shield characters. SpiderWoman, who's a 1/2, but she reduced the cost to play SpiderWoman for 1 for each confused enemy in play. So if you have confused 2 or 3 enemies, she could be free. So it's pretty cool. And she can attack for a little bit. So she's not that bad. And she's a Shield Web Warrior card. And then we have Monica Chang, which is a great new ally. For 3, after she enters play, you search your deck, hand, and discard pile for a copy of the Surveillance Team, and you just put it into play. And then you add a Snoop counter. So now instead of having only 3, they come with 4. So that's really fun, because then you paid 3 for an ally. Yeah, it's a 1/1, but it comes in with a support card for Shield, which can trigger all these other great things. All right, then let's look at some of the other Shield cards that we got. We got Government Liaison, and it's basically a helicarrier for Shield. So exhaust the government liaison. You can play a shield card from your hand, reducing its cost by 1. Again, kind of like team building exercise. You can only use it for 1 card. So you can't, even if you have 3 in play, you cannot exhaust all 3 to play something for free or just play the other card for free. So it can only be 1 card at a time. And it has to be from your hand. So that's important. And then we got the Sky Destroyer, which is a shield support vehicle that says after you play a shield card, so these are all shield cards, you can exhaust to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So very fun. So you can see where this is going. And then we got a couple of spider allies, Ghost Spider and Spider-Man. So Ghost Spider, what she does is when she leaves play, you search your deck for an identity-specific event and add it to your hand. And with Spider-Man, Peter Parker, you need to requirement, so you need to play in a lightning, mental, and physical to play him. But after Spider-Man attacks or thwarts, you choose a Web Warrior character and ready that character. So he is a Web Warrior. She is a Web Warrior. And then SpiderWoman's a Web Warrior. So if he attacks, he can ready other characters, which is pretty cool. And then we got two new other shield cards. We got Agent 13, which is very strong, that can ready a shield support card. So your Helicarrier is a shield support. Sky Destroyer is a shield support. So that's very cool. And then Dum Dum Dugan, who I think is just extremely powerful. He has an interrupt. When you use one of Dum Dum's basic powers, you can exhaust up to 3 shield cards to increase that. So he can either attack for 6 or thwart for 6. That's crazy. Like, it's a 6/6 ally. And all you have to do is exhaust some shield cards. So lots of very cool, fun synergies with the shield mechanic. And then finally, this is, I think, the worst team-up card in the game. Both Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy have to be in Alter Ego. So Young Love, it says heal 3 damage from each of Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales. Now, she is Ghost Spider. She is also Gwen Stacy here. But if you are playing with the other hero from the expansion box, both of your characters have to be an Alter Ego to be able to trigger the Young Love to heal. All right, so for me, it's kind of like, yeah, it's okay. All right, now let's take a look at how we can increase that pre-constructed decks experience using only what's available from the campaign box and the core set. All right, this is going to be a little special. So because Spider-Man is both a champion Web Warrior and obviously a member of S.H.I.E.L.D., here are the 4 cards I would remove from his kit. And then I'm going to give you 2 possible alternatives. One is going to be more a Web Warrior theme, and the other one is going to be more of a S.H.I.E.L.D. team. So the first thing I would remove is the Young Love. Second one I would remove is a Government Liaison. I don't think you need 4 of those. The third thing I would remove is SpiderWoman. And then the last thing I would remove is a Homeland Intervention. The reason why is because we have so much threat removal already in this kit that we don't need to have. These are just kind of overkill. But in a multiplayer game, you definitely want to keep these, and you may want to just get rid of one of the global logistics instead. And that's if you're just playing basically modified precons. All right, so let's go for the shield effect first. I would add Mockingbird for the shield. I would add Nick Fury for the shield. I would then add a 3rd surveillance team. And then finally, I would add 1 first aid, either for Spider-Man or for Dum Dum Dugan. So those would be my 4 suggestions for a shield more oriented build. All right, now let's take a look at, I would remove the same 4 cards, but if I was going to be playing more of a Web Warrior themed deck, I would remove these 4. I would be adding Spider-Man from the Gwen Stacy hero pack. So Spider-Man, what's his name again? Spider-Punk. I would be adding Across the Spider-Verse. I would be adding the Web of Life and Destiny. And I would also be running another first aid. So those are what I would just kind of switch up for just to have a better themed deck here, more oriented towards the Web Warriors instead of the Shield. But you can still play Shield and Web Warriors, and it's just kind of, it's still interesting because you're focusing more on Dum Dum Dugan and then the other ones. There you go. So that's what my suggestions are for how to upgrade the pre-constructed deck, which is already extremely solid. If it's not one of the strongest pre-constructed decks there, I don't know what is. Alright, so now let's take a look at some of the hero packs that are going to bring Spider-Man to the next level. I almost forgot to mention, if you're going to upgrade that pre-constructed deck, definitely, even if you're playing in solo, definitely add that symbiote suit. Having Miles Morales be a 3/3/3 that can ready a whole bunch is definitely worth that extra encounter card once that's out. Those 10 hit points, it's massive. And plus, he's always going to be stunned. He's always going to be tough, and then everything else. So that symbiote suit, definitely something you want to throw into that mix here, just for the lulz. All right, now let's take a look at some of the hero packs that I would 100% recommend. So if I only had to buy one hero pack, this would be the hero pack that I would get to really push a Spider-Man Miles Morales to the next level. He just screams justice. So SpiderHam would be that hero pack. It gives us access to one way or another. It gives us access to making an entrance, again, to recover. Team building exercise if you're going to be going for a Web Warrior or champion traded thing. It gives us access to Overwatch, so solo he becomes a monster. Warrior of the Great Web, so then you can even more increase his attack when Web Warrior cards leave play. Cards like SPDR, Spider-Man, Pavatir, Plabakar, and then Lady Spider. So these are there's 8-9 cards here from the Spider-Man pack that just make Spider-Man Miles Morales so fun and thematic with a spider in a Spider Web Warrior theme. So that is my first recommendation. All right. Then the other ones are all honorable mentions. So the second honorable mention would be from the Rise of Red Skull pack, SpiderWoman. First of all, press the advantage because the villains are always going to be stunned or confused. So press the advantage is an easy card draw, 2 damage and card draw. So to filter your deck faster. And then you get Spider-Girl that kind of even helps into that aspect. And then if you're playing aggression and if you're playing justice, well, obviously you have cards like the Skilled Investigator that clear the area for even more card draw and justice, and a Spider-Man here. So don't forget, if you are playing Injustice, you cannot include this Spider-Man and the other Spider-Man from his hero kit because they are both Spider-Man Peter Parker. So you cannot have both in your deck. All right, so just as a little rules reference, here we go. So, and then you also get, that's just from the Spider-Woman deck, and then from the Hawkeye deck, if you definitely like leadership, well, you get cards like Ready for Action, but mostly because of the team training. So that gives you even more activations with your Spider-Man Peter Parker. So there you go. So that would be my first honorable mention. Second honorable mention would be Ironheart. Now, the reason why Ironheart is because of Pinpoint. Oh my god, if you're playing Spider-Man Protection in Protection, so those 2 cards, Defense Mechanics and Power Within, you get to just trigger them and then shuffle them back continuously with Pinpoint in play. So you use it, you shuffle it instead of putting it into your discard pile. So that makes it just so good. And then also, you also have all these crazy cool champion teams like Vivian, Wasp, Bombshell, Falcon. And then you get that card Go for Champions. So if you're going for a Champions themed deck, and then you get the R&D facility where you can make them a 3/3. So that's pretty good. So that's why she is my second honorable mention. And then there's a couple more. So in the honorable mentions is Hulk. That's right, the Hulk hero pack. Because the villain's mostly going to be stunned, even going for a more aggressive build, toe-to-toe is a great one where the villain just loses his stun and takes 5 damage. Super, super good. And then cards like Martial Prowess and then Dropkick for even more stunning. And then if you're playing Justice, you get the Beat Cop. Now, I did say these were the last honorable mentions. There's 2 other characters that kind of play really well into his flip-flop mechanic. So Ant-Man with the Moxies, because when you're playing the cards like Double Life, you have more opportunities to trigger these Moxies, so really good. Then again, you got cards like Reinforced Suit. You got the Team Building Exercise if you don't have the Spider Pig. And then you got Lay Down the Law if you're playing it in Justice. And then again, keeping that theme of flip-flopping, well, you obviously has the Wasp Hero Pack that has the aggressive version of the flip-flop card and the protection version. So there you go. So those are my recommended hero packs for the Spider-Man upgrade beyond the precon. Again, he is so versatile. Sometimes it's very hard to say like, oh, what's the best cards? But I think what I showcased here is really what really pushes his deck to the next levels of awesomeness. Like I always say, just remember to enjoy yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video of Spider-Man Miles Morales. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave those comments on the video so we can interact and see what you think the best aspect for Spider-Man is, or what do you love about Spider-Man Miles Morales. And as always, just remember to have some fun and play the game. I'll see you for Go Spider next.